Everybody, this is Sherry at djsundry.blogspot.com, and I am so excited to be bringing you a project today. It's been a while since I've done a project, and so I wanted to hop right in and show you what I'm doing. This is a fun altered project, and it's with a back to school theme. Now I am using products from 3 Girl Jam, and so this project will also be featured on their blog, not just mine. So let's just jump right in. Now the first thing that I want to show you is I am using foam tape, and I'll show you where in the project, but just so you know, this is foam tape that I have that came on a roll. I think it's just Elmer's from Walmart, I'm not sure. But in some spots I'll be using 2 thicknesses, and other spots I'll be just using 1, but we'll talk about that when we get to that part in the project. I have these little letter and number stickers that I picked up from Joann's, and this is actually from the Basic Gray Serendipity and Shine On collections, and I used these reds. Now in some of the ones that I made, they came in 2 different colors. There were these red with the white that you see here, and then there were also red with more of a craft colored letter instead of a white letter. On the project I'm showing on the video, I used the white, but in some of the others that I will have photos of, I used the craft. I just didn't have enough craft. I'm going to set these things aside and come back to them. The paper that I'm using is this Graphic 45 ABC primer paper. I really like this paper. This is the 8x8 collection, and I'm using several papers from that. The first one that I'm using are these flashcards, and I chose to cut the flashcards apart, and so I'm using those. Now these papers are all double-sided, so on this it's got a rhyme, 1, 2, buckle my shoe. It's got that on the back, so I could have used some of those, but I chose not to on this. I just wanted, from that sheet, I wanted the flashcards. This sheet is actually stamps, and each letter of the alphabet is on there, and it says 1 cent postage, and then each one says R is for, well, I'm not quite sure what R is for. S is for sailing, R is for reading, T is for teeter-totter, U is for umbrella. Rather than spelling out the word, it shows the action or whatever the letter is signifying. So those are kind of fun. The back side of that is just some grid paper, but I'm only using the front. Then on this one, I wanted this polka dot paper. It's kind of the red polka dot, and it really matches those basic gray letters with the craft coming through very, very well. But I cut this apart. Now, I ended up making 4 of these, and I'll show you what I'm making in just a minute. I ended up making 4, and I was able to use about 1 1/4 sheets to get all 4 projects done. And again, this is 8x8 paper. Now the back side of this is really cute. It's a girl jumping rope, but that didn't really fit in with what I was trying to do. This paper is actually called Jumping Joan. It's kind of fun. And then my project, I'm also using these little bingo cards, and I picked these up from Bemuse, and I'll put a link on my blog to where you can find these. And I am making this project for a swap over at crafthoppins.net, and the project, you could make anything you wanted, but you had to use a bingo card, and it had to be school themed. So that's why the bingo card. Then I'm also using some special inks and papers. I used just this black craft Joann Essentials craft acrylic paint. I used some of that. And then from Tim Holtz Distressed, I used the Vintage Photo ink as well as the Black Soot Distress ink. I'm using my glossy accents, and then I also have some Vintage Photo Distress stickles that I'll be using in the project. And then from 3 Girl Jam, I am using 2 different products. I'm using a set of vintage buttons that I picked up over at 3 Girl Jam, and then I am using ribbons from the Christmas collection. These are 2 different, and I've just wadded them up and put them back in there. But this is holly berry, and this is mistletoe, and I use both of those on my project. So let's get started and see what kind of fun things we're doing. I also use quite a bit of Mod Podge, and this is what I've made. I've done the prep work, but I found at my local Joann's, I found this these little chalkboards, and they were only a couple dollars, and so I thought that would be perfect. That will tie in my back to school theme. Now, I'm not much of a bingo card person, but it was such a fun idea. I decided, you know, I think I could really make it work with the chalkboards. So before we finish this project, I want to show you the prep work that I've already done, because there were some steps that took some time to dry. The first thing that I did is I took my black crafter's paint and I painted around the outside because I didn't want it to be the rough wood. This was just unfinished wood. Now, I didn't paint around here because I didn't want to get it on the back of the chalkboard itself, but I just painted around that, and I also painted around the edges of this, so to cover up just that raw wood. And then I did the same on the inside here. I taped it off on the inside, and then I still kind of hit my chalkboard a few times. So I had to come up with some creative ideas to cover where I hit with the paint. Even though I had taped it off, it still seeped through. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And then I took that paper that I showed you from Graphic 45, the back side of the Jumping Joan paper, and I cut strips and I Mod Podged them on. Now you can see I'm a little bit shy here, and that will be okay because I'm going to be able to make it work. I realized I was going to be a little bit shy because I didn't put it on quite straight, and so by the time I realized that, I thought, well, I need to cover up this black piece, so let's make sure that if I'm going to be shy, it's going to be in an area where I can cover that up. So after, I think it was after I adhered the paper to the chalkboard, I took the black soot distress ink and I just lightly distressed around the outside edges of the paper as well as the inside edges here of the paper, just to kind of make it have just a little bit more vintage look to it. And so that was the prep work that I did to get ready for the project. So now there's one other thing I want to show you that I did to prep in advance, and that is I made these little flowers, and this is where the 3-Girl Jam ribbon comes in. I will put a link to the video that I watched to learn how to make these flowers, and I'll have to say that the technique that I used was just I took a needle and thread and ran it along one edge of the red, and then I just ran a basting stitch, and then I just pulled it and ruffled it together and then sewed it on the back. And then I took this little piece of green, this is the mistletoe, and I sewed it on the back, and then I sewed the buttons from that vintage button pack to make my flower like a little poppy or something. So that was the other prep work that I did. And so now we've got our bingo card. Now for my bingo card, I chose to distress around the edges of my bingo card as well. And this I used both the black soot as well as the vintage photo distress ink. And that is going to go right about there. And so let's go ahead and start by putting that on. Now I've already put the foam tape on the back, and this 2 thicknesses of foam tape made it perfect to fit right on the blackboard so it won't get bent over, and then on this edge I'll just be able to use my normal ATG. And it really feels like it's strong enough to use that. Now one other thing that I want to tell you while I'm peeling off my tape here is after I was all done adhering the paper and getting it all distressed to the edge of my blackboard or my chalkboard, I also went over the top with Mod Podge. I wanted to have a really good seal on the paper, plus I like that little bit of texture that the Mod Podge gives the finished project there. And so it serves a dual purpose. It gives a fun texture, but it also makes it really a little bit more sturdy. Okay, so now I've cut out some flashcards here, and we're just going to kind of place them, just kind of a rough placement. And then I have a couple of those postage stamps, and let's see, I have FV, let's take an N and an X. And that's gonna kind of go like, probably about like so here. Like that. And then our flower will come right in there like so. And then this other postage stamp, I want 3 of them here. And I just pop that up on 1 thickness of foam tape just to kind of make it stand out a little bit more. And I want to position those kind of around my flowers, my flower. So now that I see where I want those, let's go ahead and adhere those down. And if I'm going off camera here, I apologize. I don't really know what angle I'm at this point. But put that one there. Once the prep work was done for this project, it's actually a pretty quick and easy project to do, and I really like it. In fact, I had decided when I went to make my, I decided I wanted one too, so I've made 4 of them. I only needed 3 for the swap and 1 for me. So let's put that one there. I know these aren't going exactly where I put them originally, but that's fine. I just want to get them adhered down. And now I'm going to put my, let's go ahead and put that last postage stamp on. P is for puppy. Just like so. Now this is where my glossy accents is going to come in. Hopefully it's still goopy. Oh yeah, good. Go. So there's that corner all finished, but we're not done yet. Now, I made this banner, and this is just a piece of paper that I found in my scrap stash, and I don't know where it's from. It's very old. But I took it and I just cut it, I think I cut it about 1 inch wide, and then I just rough cut my own little banner. Again, I distressed around the edges of it with the black soot and the vintage photo, and then I put my sticker letters, and it says school days, and that's going to go up here. But what I did is I just rolled it around the edge of my table a few times so that it would kind of give it a curved and some dimension. I thought about adhering it with some foam tape as well, but after kind of playing with it, I decided I liked it better flat. But the last thing I did after I put the letters on is I did put a layer of Mod Podge over the letters, and the reason I did that, it was less for the texture like I did on the sides, and more because I wasn't really comfortable with how well the letter stickers were sticking. I just felt like it needed a little bit more strength and stability, or I was afraid in shipping for the swap that it would go ahead and fall off. And so that's why I decided to go ahead and Mod Podge over the edge, those stickers, just to make them stay just a little bit better, be a little bit more durable. And then for my last couple postage stamps, I wanted to put them on the corners, and that kind of hides any seams that I had. So we are almost finished here, but this is how I decided I was going to fix the inside where you see the little black that hit the blackboard, and this is where the vintage photo distress stickles. Now, it would have been easier to do this before I adhered everything down, but I didn't want to waste my distress stickles. So I thought, well, I'm going to do it afterwards so that I don't have much waste. Because everywhere that's covered, there's no need to put stickles. So I'm just starting kind of under the edge, so that if there does, you know how sometimes when you first open a thing of stickles or something like that, you have that little poof of stickle and you end up with a glob. Well, by doing it underneath, if it does poof and glob, it won't be noticeable. So that's why I'm starting kind of underneath the very edge of whatever corner I'm going on. And this will just kind of finish off the corner. Again, I hadn't really planned on doing that to start with. This was kind of an afterthought when I had to do something to cover up that black, And I probably could have saved myself a little bit of work if I had just planned on doing it this way instead. So there we have our school days blackboard, and I think this will be fun, a fun hop. And thanks for stopping by today. Be sure to check out the 3 Girl Jam blog. We have projects nearly every day. Now today, when you're seeing this aired, it will be Thursday, August 30th. Come back to the blog tomorrow, djsundry.blogspot.com, on August 31st, and we are having a fun blog hop where we'll be featuring 3 Girl Jam products, as well as products from Jaded Blossom, a stamping company. And we've got some fun projects going and some great prizes over on the blog hop. So come back tomorrow to www.djsundry.blogspot.com on August 31st, 2012, and see all the great projects for this fun blog hop. So thanks for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed the project. Hope you're inspired to go out and do some back to school projects for you as well. Have a great day.